Hello and good evening to the chair and everyone here for the meet. This side Sonal Sinha from KM Institute of Linguistic and Linguistics, Agra. Today I'm going to present my research work, which is also an ongoing MPhil work. This is the topic: politeness and automatic detection of complaints on web platform in Hindi. Here is my outline of the research that it will deal with introduction, theoretical framework, methodology, data analysis, conclusion and bibliography. So to begin with, the research question is how politeness plays in complaints. I will deal with this and in next comprehensions, I will deal with overview of politeness and complaints, deriving analysis from theoretical framework, working on Twitter, how was it working on Twitter data, features of complaints, and sentiment analysis models. The theoretical framework deals with politeness is not only limited to etiquettes of social behavior involving formulaic language like address terms, sir, madam, request, please, apologies, and only these kinds of things, but it also deals with complaints. Polite language usage resort expressions like the language a person uses to avoid being too direct, language which displays respect towards or consideration for others, and some encounter polite users of language as hypocritical, dishonest, and distant, and unfeeling, etc. also. These are all personal assessments of polite or impolite behavior, and words are used that to analyze polite behavior, we have to be very precisely dive into the flow of social interactions. Now to deal with complaints. Complaint is an illocutionary act in which the speaker, the complainer, expresses his or her feeling of disapproval, negative feelings, etc., for which she or he holds the hearer, the complainee, responsible, either directly or indirectly. While complaining, a speaker expresses his feelings of disapproval, and in that discourse, if the speaker abides by the four maxims of Grice, that is quality, quantity, relevance, and manner, this leads to the face-threatening act. And this is the face-threatening act is an technical term by Brown and Levinson. Thus politeness comes into play for overcoming the negative face and simultaneously not hindering the context of the discourse through the use of floating to avoid the conflict. Therefore, to overcome this, politeness rules comes into play, and those are: don't impose, give your options to the hearer, make her feel good, and be friendly. And these are observed by Brown and Levinson. Face walk refers to the actions taken by a person to make whatever he is doing consistent with the face. So one might think, what is face-threatening act? So if I'm talking to you and if I want to be polite, it may be of whatever reason, either you are elder to me or I am a polite person and trying to make a discourse very polite, then I have to, I will, take myself back from being too direct, or I wanted to help to disobey you or hurt you, then I will use politeness in my language, even for making complaints. And here, rationality plays an important role in universalistic theorization. And these are preferences rather than rules. They can differ across situations, cultures, and contexts. Then, in terms of patterns and functions, complaints can be categorized as direct or indirect. Direct complaints, in this, the address is held responsible for the perceived offense and is expected to acknowledge or change the undesirable state of affairs. And in indirect complaint, it is a long or repeated expression of discontent, least intended to change or improve the unsatisfactory situation. The statement varies among the various relationships of interactants and international situations and type of impositions involved in the speech act. So here is little data from examples of data from my data. Complaints, direct and indirect, it is classified. And in direct complaints, there were examples like क्या ये लेट श्री साहिब सिंह जी के लड़के का सरल पिता है, लड़के हैं सरल पिता की ऐसी औलाद. So here somebody is accusing that the son is saying like the father. And in second example, अरे मोदी जी यहाँ भी data manipulation. So he is directly complaining to Modi ji that he is doing data manipulation here also. Sorry. In indirect complaints, जब प्रजा मूर्ख हो तब राजा अपनी नाकामी का जश्न मनवा लेता है. It is very indirect as it is being directed towards someone on that position, but he is not taking the name. And the second example is थाली बजाई, दिए जलाए, जुलूस निकाले, पटाखे फोड़े, सब कुछ तो किया है सुप्रीम लीडर ने. Here the speaker wants to say that we have done everything, miscellaneous things, but not done anything relevant to the coronavirus protection. So here it is making indirect complaint. So in the methodology process, first of all, data collection was done through Twitter API crawler using the hashtags and @, like bekar, hashtag bakwas, hashtag worst, for being English, ghotala, hashtag ghatia. So I have used these kinds of hashtags because it is more of fetching the complaint like data. So in second process, pre-processing was done for the of the corpora, and in that URLs, hyperlinks, repeated sentences, etc. were removed. And my research was primarily on Hindi data, so all the sentences which were not of Hindi, those were removed, but it's a code mix data of Hindi and English, Hindi and other languages. So these kinds of data were retrieved. For data annotation, I have done it manually with the tag set of 0 for complaint and 1 for non-complaint, with some guidelines related to theoretical framework, and inter-annotated agreement was done.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Then model were run in 2 rounds. First of all, I had run my model on 10,000 sentences, and after that I increased the total number of data to 12,134, and in that the number of complaints were 37.2% and non-complaints were 62.8%. And this is the data for the IAA for 3 participants, and this is the result for second round. It was 54%. And here is a glimpse of my data. 0 are for complaints, and this side suggestion questions. This annotation was done for my data analysis, not for model running part. And here are some instances of non-complaints. So I have done with this part, and this is the score of my model, where logistic regression worked well for both the rounds. And after that, linguistic analysis was done in word level analysis, like Nindiniye, and these are examples of Annay, Bekar and Prashta. So these were the main words, or we can derive from it that something about complaints is being dealt upon. And metaphorical level analysis was also done, as Naya Dubodi, Andhiya Nagri, Chopper Raja, a confused ruler, a chaotic state. So these are the examples of complaints which were in the corpus, and these are some examples. After that, some ideology level analysis was also done that the speaker is using some words like Jaichand or Chaddi and Hijra Gan for RSS, and he is making complaints on that basis, and jihadi model, etc. So after that, discourse of complaints was done. This is also a linguistic analysis. Um, like in this, I wanted to describe where the politeness is mostly working. So from the whole corpus, comparisons, allegations, comments, sarcastic comments, current situations, questions, and suggestions. These were the kinds of data present in the corpus. I need to say that there were some sentences which were kind of suggestions and also complaints, questions and also complaints, and some were doing direct allegations for those. So these were some broad examples for this. I will skip this and go for the conclusion. So this was a short analysis of the data. In the classification part, the comments, comparisons, current situations, jokes, and rhetoric. Here rhetoric means shairi and all the shairi kinds of things where the speaker is making some complaints. So these complaints had some extra politeness because the speaker wanted to not to be very frank or direct so that it can hurt someone's feelings. And after that, allegations, sarcastics were more impolite, rather polite. Oh, conclusions. Yes, so this is the whole research, and for future I would try to include more data. On that, I would train more robust models, and more extensive and politeness-oriented classifications will be done. So these are the references.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You are working on.
Speak loudly because we are not able to hear you.
So I don't find that what is the score of your model?
Okay, so that was in the slide. So,
Actually. And one more question. And how you are dealing with the Devanagari and Roman script? Actually, your language is Hindi, but when it comes to comment, some people use Devanagari and Roman script. Then how you are dealing with that script?
So in this data, so the data is code mixed. So for analysis part, I had no problem in that, and model also run very well for that.
He's asking about if two mixed script is there, and how to deal with this.
Okay. Neither I will write it for you. I'm not able to explain it right now. Sorry.
Okay. Which model you are using? Machine learning model or deep learning model?
Machine learning model for supervised learning and semi-supervised learning, logistic regressions, SVM, and NiFIs.